Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston. I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, it's a great day.
It is a good day indeed. Today is the last day of our Gleam giveaway. So get in before time runs out. Check it out. What is it? Enter in for the opportunity to win. We're super excited to be able to bring this to you. So thank you for joining us in on it, and good luck, everybody.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the support. The giveaways for 500 subscribers, so thank you.
Yeah,
We hope you guys enter. We want to give away free stuff.
absolutely.
And today's a fun one. We're doing a meta video. It is a part two of a very fun little
Yeah.
series that we do. One Piece on the English site, and I believe the Japanese site, but we always do the English site, publish these intro decks.
hmm
Very basic, very generic. We've done these 5 in a previous video. I'll link it up here.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. We're going to do the other 6 and rank them, and let's see what if they know what they're talking about.
It's really interesting to look at these because they're the ones making the game. So I'm really curious to who put these decks together.
Yeah, yeah. Let us know
Um,
if you're watching this
Especially
video.
because the first set was like, ugh. Um,
Yeah,
but
they were
these,
definitely. Ugh.
yeah, these I think are a little bit better.
I think so. They have this really cool point in this deck. It says Ace, use search cards such as Striker and Buggy to accumulate plenty of removal event cards and KO cards, one after another. If you combine it with the lower of its power, the removal performance will increase even further. Let's land the 7 cost Ace and the 5 cost Marco well and attack. Wow.
mhm.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, so they have a deck list. They also have like strategy at the bottom. We're just gonna go through the deck list because it's fun.
Whoa.
But check it out if you're interested in these leaders. It might give you an insight on where to start, even if this list isn't your preferred method.
Yep.
Um,
I think that's a good way to look at it too, because there's always going to be things you don't like, and you
mhm.
should use it to start and build on it. Because something that's definitely good in this deck, this Marco, is absolutely wonderful. This is probably one of the better SRs in the set as a whole. So
Yep,
we're already off to a good start. This Marco should be in all Whitebeard decks from here on out.
absolutely. And generally, this deck isn't bad. I would probably play with event card placements and like choice and counts generally just based off of who I'm playing, like what my meta is locally. So if I'm going up and I'm just getting stomped out and I don't get a chance to run my Flame Emperor card, then I'm gonna cut that and play something that I can play that's keeping me alive longer. Um,
And I think Ace is
but
a really typically hard deck to build as well. You need a lot of event cards, and I think it
Mhm.
does cater to what your local meta is. And it'll be even harder at a larger tournament because then you have to predict the larger meta. So Ace will always revolve around what the meta looks like, kind of the same way Blue Purple Croc does.
Yeah, and this is 18 events and 4 of the stage. The stage is like a once per turn search for an event, so that's not a bad card to want to see. Um, the it's playing the ISO Searcher, it's playing Buggy Searcher, so you're definitely trying to find these cards that you want to hit. It's playing Otama, which is very key, and I think it's really interesting that they're putting that out there as like a hey, this card should be in all your red decks. As well as the starter deck Luffy. They threw that in here and they didn't need to. And they're like, hey, this is here. In this deck, I don't think I would be playing starter deck Luffy. I think I would lean more into the good Whitebeard pirates, since you have ISO searching Whitebeards. There's a couple cards. There's the Guard Point, the Otama, and the Luffy that aren't searchable. So you could have some dead searches, which would be uh, bad if you hit ISO off of those. But generally, this isn't a bad build. I think you could probably tune it up a little bit, but
Yeah, I think a couple Whitebeards, the big ones at the end, are pretty nice.
mhm.
I'm a huge fan of either Vista or Nico Robin for more effective middle clear.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, generally speaking, Ace is again going to be a harder leader to build, so I think it always caters to your player. And
Mhm.
this also, there's going to be some. I think marketing is key here as well. I think this Luffy is here for marketing, so I don't think he should be here. I don't think this really belongs in this deck as well.
Right.
But again, it's an option. That Luffy, by all means, is not a bad card.
Mhm.
So definitely consider adding Rush if you can fit it. So yeah, this is a cool deck. Definitely one of the harder ones to build as well. So I kudos to you when you do build this deck and you do have success with it.
Mhm.
Because these event cards are definitely the hardest thing to navigate. Because I definitely want to play a little bit of all of them.
Mhm.
Probably Jet Pistol is another one that I would want to see. Jet Pistol.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ace, pretty fun deck. I'm definitely gonna read this later. God, I'm so interested in all this right now.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's the direction they're going. Is they're like, hey, if you don't know what to do, this is what this deck is trying to achieve, which is super interesting.
Yeah,
Which this is the one I'm gonna read because I want to figure out what the heck they were thinking. Um,
yeah.
this is the Kuro deck. I don't know if we need to read their intros, but we can just look at the deck real quick. Um, a lot of low vanilla drops. The Nami Searcher is probably the biggest key here. And then they throw Wano in, so if you're gonna throw Wano in, maybe split it a little bit more evenly and run Momo. And then they throw in the Laws, which I guess is just a good card. I think you could switch that out for something a little bit like better for a top end because their top end ends with Krieg, and I feel like that's a 6 drop, and you're gonna want some more top end, like literally anything that's better, just to have a finisher, a big body. Um, the two of Kuro's allies, the two cat people, I lost their names, Bucci and something, Pucci and Bucci or something like that. These guys, they have a cool combo. If you play the skinnier one first, it it taps a card, and then it plays the Bucci, which is the chubbier one, and KOs that card. Like it KOs a rested 2 drop.
Correct.
So it's a
Yes.
cool combo, but like I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I think there's a bunch of key issues. I think the largest one has to be lack of late drops. It was non-existent in the set. If we consider the whole set as a whole, there's not a lot of big drops in there at all. I think black and yellow, I think were large recipients of the high drops, and I don't think a lot of other colors got them. So
Mhm.
this definitely is in need of top end. Green doesn't have a lot of options, unfortunately. I think that's why this deck is going to struggle a little bit. I think you're forced to play 8 drop Kid, which is not in a good spot right now in the meta, especially with Katakuri coming out. Um, and the other options, what Odin, and Odin really. I guess you could play Odin because you do have some Wano options, but I think
Mhm.
that's some of the struggle with this deck, right? Like,
Yeah.
Jin is a very very good card. This is an absolute beast of a card, and Krieg is another winner.
Mhm.
And this event card is interesting. I believe it restands Kuro by tapping an East Blue card. So you do have options to go very aggressive with Kuro, but this exists already. Like, this isn't a new mechanic. Kid has already been double attacking uh, for 2-3 sets now, and
Mhm.
has been a menace. So this isn't a deck that we're new to. It's not really a new archetype, or it is a new archetype, I guess, with East Blue, but it didn't receive enough for it to stand alone. And I think
Mhm.
we can see that very clearly when we look at this deck and see that we're running one drop vanillas because we're just lacking in this
Mhm.
archetype. Um, yeah, I think this deck is a support cast at best. East Blue doesn't have enough for it to be the focal point, and yeah, it's just left wanting. There's not
Yeah,
a lot to say.
it's really scattered too because you have Worst Generation, you have Wano, you have Worst Generation, you have East Blue. So you're only getting one searcher when green has now multiple. You could play the Nami and a bunch of East Blue. You could play Bonnie and a bunch of Worst Generation. You play Momo and Wano. I think this deck needs to be more concise on what it wants to do.
Yep.
And right now it just feels scattered. So if we were to build it, I would build it more focused.
Yeah.
If I'm playing East Blue, I'm going to lean a little less than half onto East Blue, and then I'm going to lean the rest into a Wano or Worst Generation, so I have 2 searchers that are solid. That's how Kid's been doing well with Bonnie and Momo.
Yep.
So we have to kind of consider that as a gold standard since it swept through set one
Yep.
so handedly.
Yeah, and even set two, we're seeing 3 searchers. It's
Hmm.
running as many searchers. The reason it does is it upgrades your consistency. You're seeing more cards. You're seeing more options. You're able to play through your deck more consistently. Yeah, you definitely need to play to a better win condition. There just isn't enough East Blue for it to be a primary, so it needs to be a secondary to
Hmm.
Green's other archetypes, which are Wano and Supernovas. So,
Yeah.
and again, you just got to play with it, figure out which one works for you. Two searches is definitely the way to go, though.
Hmm.
100% agree with that. And there are some winners here. So
Yep.
give it a try. Kuro, I think Kuro attacking multiple times will be very interesting as well. So could be
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah. And moving on to the green archetype in this set, Arlong also got a shout out here, and it's going to have a lot of the same green cards because it looks like there's only one card that's not from this set in this deck, which is Okiku, another odd little splash, but it's a good card, so I get it. Um, I think it's a lot more balanced in the green to yellow ratio than I would have probably made it. Um, I probably wouldn't be playing a Nami Searcher. I would probably be playing Jin and Krieg and maybe a couple like really spicy good yellow green cards and then lean heavily into yellow for this deck. And that's just my thought process because yellow in this set feels stronger than the green. So I'd rather play the yellow cards
You,
and just lean into the trigger because that's what Arlong does is trigger.
Yeah, and when we talk about this leader, it's doing exactly what really excites me about the leader. It's playing the three trigger guys. It's playing the pedo. It's playing the smoothie. It's playing the cracker. It's playing
So,
them, and these are the cards. It's running the two searches, right? You're playing the Nami. You're playing the so it has the things that works. And
mhm.
it has decent late game. I don't know if this is the late game that I would recommend. Yellow has Katakuri
The other big bomb I think is
and
better.
other Big Mom. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this one, but it's an option. Where Green doesn't really have those good late game options, and Arlong helps cover that with that color typing. So this is a
Mhm.
fun deck. This is definitely a deck that I would. I think it's a decent starting point. I'm not a huge fan of all these East Blue cards. I think, like you
Yeah.
said, I think it's probably you probably can add more support with some of the other Wano cards.
Hmm.
But I'm into this deck. I think this deck has a lot of flair and a lot of fun, a lot of style. So
Yeah, it's definitely warming up on me. Uh, and a deck that doesn't need any more warming up because it's already just so exciting to talk about Nami.
yeah,
And
it's building it the
this,
way that I think is the right way to build it. Honestly, I think drawing is when you play card games, it's the best archetype. It's the most fun to do. You're seeing the most cards, and you could build a winning strategy when you have those options. And it's playing the ones that I think probably should be considered heavily. This Mihawk and this Boa,
Mhm.
they draw more strategically. You're able to really manipulate the field a little bit better.
Mhm.
Mihawk usually forces your opponent to clear it, which gives you more time and you
Mhm.
have to deal with this boa. This boa is if you've been playing against all these Dofis, like I'm sure you have been in set one, you must be annoyed with this boa. So I think this deck's a lot of fun. I like seeing Silver King here. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of deck's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it doesn't really matter how you build it.
I think the thing is, like Zeph and Nami's effects trigger when they do damage.
Yeah,
So I kind of don't want to ever attack with Nami to get hers because taking damage means it's one less time you get to mill with your higher mill counts.
true.
So she has a lower off the top of your deck mill than Zeph. So I want to basically draw a bunch until I can get Zeph on board and then just attack a bunch with Zeph so that I get bigger uh, mills.
Yeah,
And you won't, if you're playing against a single color leader, you get five of those. So you really want to optimize that because you're not going to get your special win condition if you're just hitting with Nami and clearing with Nami. Um,
yeah.
so if you're going for that special win condition, you have to think about when you strike also. So it's just a really cool deck to think about how do you win and do you just win the normal way?
Yeah, because you could just attack, and they're thinking the same way you're thinking. I'm going to take this one and only lose one card, but now your
Hmm.
opponent has taken so much life that maybe you are in a position just to win normally. So I
Hmm.
think there's a lot of mental pressure from Nami just because of the special win condition, and you don't know
Yeah.
how they're building their deck, so you never know. A lot of
Hmm.
fun. Definitely a leader that definitely will get better and better when you spend more time with it. And I would say the same for Rob Lucci. I think Rob Lucci has been warming up more and more and more. I don't know about this deck though.
I skipped over to it first to just get a look at it because I haven't seen it yet, and I don't see brand new. So you're down one searcher. I only see Spandam, and I think you should be playing both. Um, they're leaning into the new stuff with CP9
Yeah.
when I think a lot of people are sticking to the admirals from the last set, and I think the admirals are a much stronger package than this CP9 package.
Yeah, and I think brand new only searches Navy, and there are no Navy.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
It's just
CP9 or
yeah,
CP.
it's just the Sigu and yeah, it's just not enough Navy, you know. And I think we've seen success for Lucci, and it's when these characters take a back roll. You know, there is not enough. Lucci is not good enough to run over Sakazuki.
Mhm.
Sakazuki just offers too much
Right.
board control, and Rush is not does not compete with that. You know, and he has too much of a condition, right? So
Right.
you're forced to play this overly heavy CP9 count to get Lucci's effect and to get Kaku's effect more often.
Hmm.
But we've seen so much success by playing just Bluno and Kumadori, and I think that's their names, and Kaku and Khalifa. Like these four have been like the ones I had been seeing, and I think this little quad works really well together as a mid tempo play. And Black has so much late game, right? There's so
Hmm.
many great late game cards. You could go Aisho, Fujitora. You could go Kuzan. And I've seen less Kuzans for Aishos. And I don't think you're wrong or right for going either way, which just flexes to how good Black is right now.
Hmm. Yeah. I think this isn't the build for this leader, but the leader itself is getting a lot of love, and uh, there is better builds out there. I think we've covered a couple of them even. So check out other Meta Mondays. I think those deck lists that people are succeeding with are probably better built than this. Um, but when I jump over to Big Mom, I see why the Lucci deck is the way it is. This is the deck that I would be playing
Hey,
with Lucci.
yo, what the?
So it's interesting because I think we often talk about black yellow, and
There's a lot of yellow.
there's more yellow than I think we would build it with, but this is running the Admiral package that we were just talking about, and I
Admiral's
think
good.
that it's finishing with Big Mom. It could also finish with Kuzan, um, but a lot of the core cards here could be played in the Lucci
Oh,
with
yeah.
the few core cards that Sam pointed out on the mid game. So it's really interesting that they just chose to put the better cards in the Big Mom leader, I think, just to show the variety of what you can build. So part of this is marketing and publicity and trying to get people to pay for product.
Of
So I
course.
understand why you have to show two different decks.
Of course.
This one's probably better than the Lucci. Um,
Yeah.
just a little. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a this leader effect and the leader itself. I don't know. I'm still not sold on the ability, but the black cards are
Hmm.
phenomenal cards. Like they were good last set, but they were too slow. There was too much speed coming out of red to really contest. And what does yellow offer? And they offer really unique endgame with Katakuri, and you have these admirals that are just absolutely wonderful. Add
Hmm.
Aisho and Kuzan to that, which obviously aren't here, but you can play.
Hmm.
You have brand new, which is absolutely should be here. Them getting a searcher is huge.
Yeah.
There's two searchers in yellow if you wanted to go this route. And again, dual color leaders. We keep talking about. There's so much flexibility. They offer so much, especially when there isn't a decisive meta and a consistent list. You could run
Hmm.
into anything, and I think that's what's terrifying about black right now. Is there's so many wonderful end games, and when you add yellow to that, which established a different end game, which is just as scary.
Hmm.
This leader offers a lot, so I definitely play with that. But this is going in a direction I don't mind. The admirals are good. These are good trigger cards like Smoothie and Cracker. I'll keep gushing about.
Hmm.
And Pero is very good. So these are good yellow cards. So this is an exciting deck. This is probably the one I'm most excited for. Good deck.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it.
But that's all of the new featured decks. It's interesting. Some are good, some are bad. I think that's just gonna how it lands, and I think that they're doing that to show all the cards
Right.
because they're selling a product at the end of the day. Like right below the deck list, it shows all the products that you can get
Yeah.
from this deck. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it for its best concepts and build your best deck
I will
with
say
that later.
they're better than last times. You know, I think last time they were full. They were full marketing. They were just showing like the flashier cards. I think there was a little more thought into these ones. I could see some of the choices they made.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited for that part. And there were some good points there. I like some of the card mixes. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for watching. Go check out that Gleam link. Hit the subscribe button. Uh, Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you around. Peace.
Bye bye. I need Hattori to pop up next chapter and just be the hero.
That would do it.
He needs a card. Why did he get a card? Seems rude. Let the CP9 character out.
Only a matter of time.
Goes on the list with Jinbei and Frankie.
Frankie. Yeah.
Devastating.
Yikes.